YouTube, what's going on with y'all, man? It's your boy Trav back with another video. Um, Feels good to be back, man. Can't complain. Hope everybody's having a decent weekend. Um, in this video, I want to talk about your flaws don't really matter. When a couple weeks ago, I went to New York, and every time I go to New York, I always have this feeling of like coming back to reality, right? And in that feeling, in that self-awareness, I guess you could say, I pay attention to all the people and all the different environments that you find yourself in when you travel. And in doing that, I started to realize, bro, like your flaws really don't matter, bro. Like there's people that look a certain kind of way, talk a certain kind of way, have myriad ranges of flaws that when you put yourself into that melting pot of the world, you start to realize like, man, some of the things that I deem to be issues or, things that I put a microscope on and I start to pay more and more attention to. And I think the whole world notices. Most of the time, bro, they don't. And New York is a perfect example of that, where it's like there's so many people moving around. Everybody has a different lifestyle. Everybody's, living a different way, that they're not really worried about other people, to a certain extent. Like when they're out in the street, it could be crazy stuff going on. People are just going on about their day. And that's the thing you have to realize is like, yeah, you might have a flaw that you deem to be like very very important to you. But you have to realize that just because it's important to you doesn't mean it's important to others. Like you may notice a bump that's growing on your face and it's massive, but somebody walking down the street or somebody that you're in a conversation with sometimes wouldn't even notice it until you point it out, and that made me think, it's like, bro, our flaws really don't matter. Like when I went there, and I'm like, it's crazy that we can go from the, Little Italy to Chinatown to whatever. And it's just so many different types of people that look different kind of ways, talk different kind of ways, have different styles of walk. It's just so much. And we put so much stock into, how we feel about our flaws, bro. And it lets you, gives you a crutch to almost hold you back. And, you got to get to a point where you start to realize that I cannot let my flaws determine how I live my life. Because at the end of the day, man, like, if you never put yourself out there, you never experience things, you never just, live your life, you're always going to be held back by your flaws, and you're going to let them control you. And, you have to get to that point in your life where you realize, you know what, I am who I am. I look like how I look like, I look how I look, and once you accept yourself and you accept your flaws for what they are, you hopefully will get into a space where you love yourself more. You're able to feel more free, and that's what it's all about. That's what life is about to me, is getting to a point where you feel free enough to live it. When you get free enough to really truly live your life and you love yourself who you are, there's no holding you back at that point. And I think that sometimes people stepping out of their box gets them that clarity. It triggers something in their mind. It's like, okay, what I have been worried about or the things that I've been paying attention to really don't matter that much. There's beauty in all of us, and it is in different ways, like how they have the thing where it's like the most beautiful man in the world or the most beautiful woman in the world, like that type of thing, right? That is going off of, certain kind of scales and stuff that they build. And I feel like a lot of that is pulled from the fashion industry, and, no offense, but it's built off of like European style, metrics of what they deem beauty is, or, it's just a lot. And that's one thing that I never accepted, like where you'll hear some people that are really good at it, that like, some people that model. This is a good example, because it's always been the stigma that like magazines and publications don't want models that are short. And it's dumb. Like when you think about it, it's like, I don't really understand. They say, well, it's the way the clothes lay and blah, blah, blah. Like now you're just starting to see a shift in that where they're accepting people that are heavier. You know, it was, when you think about it, it's like those stereotypes of what beauty was, you know, like beauty is really thin, you know, strong facial features, whatever. That was a society that was basically putting these ideas in our mind that, you know, oh, well, that's beauty. Like, I don't look like that, so I must not be beautiful or handsome, right? And then those equate to you paying more attention to your flaws. You got pimples, you got a gut, you know what I'm saying? You're not as tall as others, you know. Bro, at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. Like, the way I look at it, the things that you can change that you are not happy with, do it. If you want to change your weight, go work out. If you want to, you know, if your teeth aren't the best, there's ways to correct that. You know, you could go to a dentist, you could get whitening strips, you could do whatever. Like, the flaws that you can correct, and if you feel like you want to correct them, go do it. There's nothing holding you back. But if you have certain flaws that you just cannot, you know, there's certain things that you can't fix, or things that you can't, you know, get corrected, I guess you could say, bro, you got to live with it, man. And you got to accept it, and you got to love yourself for that, because that makes you different. You know, it might not be to what society says, but who is society to say what is beauty and what's not, or what's accepted and what's not, you know? It's up to you. You have to accept yourself, and you have to surround yourself with people that accept you for who you are as well, because that's important too. If you don't have a solid foundation or a solid group of people that you could depend on, that, you know, they won't judge you, they won't make fun of you for who you are, or your flaws, or whatever it is. If you have that foundation, bro, the world can't break you, because you know who you are. You know that, you know what, hey man, like I can't do anything about this. I gotta rock. I gotta love myself for who I am and for what I have. You know, that's just what it is. Some people have disabilities that hold them back from, you know, achieving certain goals in their life. But, you know, at the same time, they find a different outlet to still reach people with the same issues that, you know, helps them feel connected to someone else. If it's something like that with you, do the same thing. Do outreach, you know, whatever it is. There's always another way. There's always something else that you're meant to do. There's always another reason where you're meant to be here. Everyone's meant to be here for a purpose. It's either to teach lessons, to be an example, you know, it's always a reason, bro. You have to remember that. As hard as life seems to be, and sometimes you might feel like you're moving through it without a purpose, you have a purpose. You may even be doing what you're supposed to do now and you don't even know it. I strongly believe that sometimes in our lives, you know, we're meant to shed the light on someone else. It's hard for people to accept that, but it's the truth. Or sometimes you're meant to be a support for someone. And it's not a thing where it's like you're supporting someone to the point where it's, you know, diminishing you or, you know, who you are. It's more so of just being a support to someone that really needs it. And you doing that makes a whole difference to the world, because you never know what that person will be or who they'll touch. You're passing on the love. You're passing it down. You're passing on, hey, man, I don't care if you have a giant birthmark on your face that you just can't cover up. I guess what? I love you for it. I think you're beautiful for that. You know, the confidence that you have to exude when you have these flaws, or the confidence you have to have when you tell somebody like, hey, this is my friend. This is the person I love, and I will not tolerate you or anyone else disrespecting them. You just got to adapt, man. You got to love yourself. That's the whole point of this video, is to just say you got to love yourself. And going back to New York, the way I look at it is just like, I stepped into a different place. You know, it was, you know, I know a lot of people say they hate the city, they don't like the people. Cool. But like when I go there, it's a different experience for me. Like how some people will retreat to nature to clear their mind or kind of regroup and, you know, learn things about themselves. I'm a person where I can do both ends of that sword. Sometimes I don't want to be quiet. I don't want to hear the quietness. I want to hear the noise, because I feel like the noise wakes me up and it makes me pay attention. It makes me realize, like, hey, Trav, man, shoot, like, you may be complaining about X, Y, and Z, but things could be 10 times worse. Or it could be a thing where it's like, you need to go harder to get to that goal that you want to reach. And, just constantly thinking about that. It's like, man, there's so much to do, bro. There's so much to do. And life is too short for you to just use your flaws or use whatever else as a crutch. Don't let anything handicap you, man. Like, even people that have, people that are on the spectrum, people that have certain handicaps, like they can't walk, or some people have one arm, one leg, whatever it is, you still see so many beautiful stories, bro, of people that have these issues, have these flaws, and they're still striving. So when I look at that, it's like, well, what's my excuse? I don't have an excuse. And the thing is, a lot of us don't. A lot of us use things as crutches. We use our flaws as a crutch. We use our situation as a crutch. We use people as a crutch. You got to let it go. You got to drop them crutches like Jamie Foxx, like Samuel Jackson did in Django at the end. You got to drop that crutch and move on with your life. Accept yourself for who you are. Love yourself and live the best life you could live, because it's short. Like people say, life is short. I feel like even when we make it to 70, 80 years old, that's still not a lot of time, man. Think about it. If you're going off of, some of the stories in the Bible, or like stories you hear about people that were like in the 1800s, a lot of people live to be 100 plus. So it's like, when you really think about it, bro, this life, even if you live a beautiful long life to the age of 70, 80 years old, it's still such a short time on this earth. So don't waste it. Don't let that time go to waste. Don't diminish yourself. Don't dim your light. Like I keep saying, because it's very, very important. You make a difference every single day you wake up. I know, like, sometimes I feel like the things I do are very minuscule. It's like a penny in a puddle, but those ripples that you did make made a difference. And that's a big part of this whole situation, or this whole video, to me, is the small ripples that you make, or the big ripples that you make, or the splash, or the, or whatever. Those make big differences, man. The things you do are very important, and you're not doing them for no reason. So I would just encourage everyone, and encouraging myself as well, let's use our 24 hours to the best of our ability this year. As much as you can, make the most out of it. All right. I'm going to leave y'all with that. Once again, man, it feels good to be back on like a more frequent cycle. I love you guys very much. I appreciate you guys, man. And I pray that you guys have a great rest of your weekend, great week, great work week, whatever. Yeah, man, we just rock. Accepting flaws. Love yourself today. And I appreciate every single last one of y'all. I love y'all. And peace.